Well, good morning and welcome to your tarot card reading. Apologies that it's not HD today. I didn't bring my HD camera. Okay, so our current spread out is as such. Derp, derp. So you have the Four of Wands, the Ace of Pentacles, the Seven of Pentacles, the Two of Cups, and then Temperance, the Star, the Hierophant, and the High Priestess, which is all fucking, they're powerhouse cards, let me tell you, and a lot of really strong archetypes in your corner. A lot of really strong. You're working with giants right now, basically, is what's going on. You're working with the giants. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. The Four of Wands is all about surprises, joyous occasions, non-exclusive joyous occasions, inclusion into life's kind of cycles, and kind of social inclusion as well. Kind of like a homecoming, or like a recognition of like part of a group, or all things in regards to those kinds of situations. Basically, it's close to I believe it's the Five of Wands, where the guy has the laurel wreath and he's coming in and he's sitting on the horse and he's holding that is like a victory card. And this is like, if you'll look at the card itself, this is like the perspective of being on the horse and you're going into town and you're like here now and you're like kind of coming back into town and you're being recognized and you're being celebrated, but it's more of a calm, kind of relaxed kind of feeling right there. The Ace of Pentacles, if you'll notice, it's the god holding your finances, material aspects. It's carrying it through this area instead of settling upon this area, if you'll notice. And the pentacle is double wrapped, which is basically protection of the material, protection of the finances, carrying your finances from this area, which may not be a bad area. It's not necessarily anything that is causing you distress, but it's not the place where you want to settle. So you want to take your wealth and your material things and everything that is of the material world and carry it through into the next realm where you're going. A lot of these cards are don't settle cards for sure as well. It's not that, like I said, it's not that it's not an enjoyable environment. It's not that it's a bad environment necessarily. It's just that there's better out there. There's much more that you can attain. And I'll go into that in a minute, but really it's like there's more for you. Don't settle. And also too, there's an element of something is being handed to you, an opportunity is being handed to you, but it's not being dropped in your lap. So while the opportunity will present itself and you will be given the opportunity to kind of like do something that will affect your finances, affect the material aspects of your life, and probably utilize your skills in a certain artistic kind of way. However, it's not going to be handed to you. You're going to have to actively choose to you're going to have to actively choose to walk that path. You're not just going to, sit back and have everything kind of handed to you. And that kind of goes with another one of these cards. Also, too, the Ace of Pentacles speaks about discriminating with the type of help that you do give. With the double wrapped pentacle, of course, it's kind of saying, protect your finances. Don't kind of just like throw it around. Don't let it drop on the ground. You know what I mean? Don't let it kind of get taken off the bush, which is your next card, until it's ready, or until you are able to consciously choose that decision for yourself. Otherwise, it potentially can turn into a being taken advantage of situation, which goes into the next card, which is your Two of Cups. Oh no, wait, we still haven't done the Seven of Pentacles. So the Seven of Pentacles, you see the guy, he's resting on his tool. He has a harvest, it's already completed. He's done his planting, he's done his work. He has he's reaping the rewards. However, it's not his harvest to reap, usually. And also, too, this speaks about restlessness with your current situation, or restlessness at a crossroads situation. So you've done your work, you have the harvest, it's showing itself. However, there is a restlessness there. There is a satisfaction. There's a satisfaction in the work itself. It's not a satisfaction with the harvest. It's, if that makes any sense. Also, too, he's resting on the, if you notice, I'm speaking different too. If you've been noticing that, it's because my wisdom teeth on this side are kind of growing in again. So I have a little bit of a mouth problem. So if I'm talking funny, if you caught that at all, I just thought maybe I should speak that out. But he's also resting on his tool. It's basically the idea of trying to find new purposes for old skills, things that you've completed, you've used it multiple times, you're very comfortable with it, but now it's time to kind of it's served its purpose, and it's time to kind of try to repurpose that sort of thing. 3 different ways that you can create wealth in your world. You can manufacture it, you can mine it, or you can grow it. That's one thing that I learned today, or that I read today, that definitely applies here. These are the 3 ways that you can start generating wealth in your life: manufacture, mine, or grow it yourself. There's speaking about blessings, but no guarantee. So that's, again, things will be handed to you or presented to you, but not dropped in your lap. You really need to actually consciously take that step with whatever it is that you want to do, and then start and put your work in again. And the second line speaks more about how to go about doing that. But yes, you have the skills, you have the abilities, you have the new ideas that you're kind of playing around with here, and you kind of have a feeling of creation or passion or that going on. However, when you consciously hold on to that as a choice, then you need to start putting more work in. You need to start working on it. The satisfaction and the blessings and the things being handed to you, they're there, but you really need to actively go after them, because you cannot expect to be handed. You cannot expect them to be handed to you, because it will not happen, and you will lose out on the opportunity. Told this to one other person before, and I believe that an opportunity was missed. So if you really, really want it, you need to not miss your opportunity to work, to put in your work. You need to do the work. The Two of Cups speaks about a relationship that potentially it's more of a hindrance than a help, honestly. In the long run, it's a fancy kind of wonderful, kind of on the surface, really charitable and giving and loving and wonderful and tasty kind of thing, but really, it's frilly, but it's not useful at all. It's fancy, but it's useless. Like and eventually, because of the Aerophant and the other ones that they're paired with, eventually it could potentially become a hindrance to you. For example, if you're giving too much, of your time to your path, maybe, the relationship might be a problem. Also, too, that Seven of Pentacles is more of a personal satisfaction rather than it's a private satisfaction rather than than an external one. Sorry, I'm doing a tarot card reading for somebody. Okay, yeah. So, coupled with the Hierophant, I would really watch your relationships that you kind of get into, and also with the whatever new endeavor it is that you're going into. Make sure that you're not taken advantage of by whoever it is that you want help from.
We're back in a while.
Yeah, no problem. So your second line is Temperance, the Star, Hierophant, and the High Priestess. Temperance in this situation is currently talking about remaining in that neutral position, because right now there is a period of all of this has happened and all of this is going to be afterwards. But the Temperance card is kind of where you're sitting currently. And this is things like do self-care. Do things like dream, kind of go back into your imagination, kind of think about what your intuition is telling you. Take stock, kind of stand on the cliff and kind of take stock of your kingdom around you that surrounds you, and kind of make sure everything is kind of balanced, not necessarily balanced, but everything in its right place. You know what I mean? All the cogs are turning in the proper, cycles that they need to do. So sorry, excuse my language, but the Temperance, the Star, the Hierophant, and the High Priestess are almost exactly all the same card. However, the Hierophant is your wild card there, and I believe it's attached to somebody else. So Temperance, yeah, it's your oasis of calm. You need to, like I said, do much self-care. Don't allow yourself to be swayed by people or like what they need or want right now. It's very much focusing on yourself and taking the joy that is being handed to you, not dropped in your lap again, and just kind of sitting with it. And also to accepting that contentedness, accepting that feeling into your life, not just experiencing it or, going along for the ride and being like, this is my self-care time. Yay, I'm having good self-care. No, you just need to fully immerse yourself in that water, if that makes any sense, because Temperance, water, your feet are in the water. And then this one, your feet are in the water. And then it transforms to you wearing the entire water. You know what I mean? So just keep that in mind. Also, too, these two together, this one first and then this one afterwards. I mean, if this one is a conflict where you are going to be taken advantage of, or if this is more of a if outside relationships are a hindrance, this one would make sense in the sense that in this one, two people are holding the cups, two people are kind of collaborating to do that kind of internal kind of collaboration, I guess is the word. This person is holding both of those cups all by themselves. So you can kind of get the symbolism of that. In regards to it's time to do it yourself. It's time to kind of just really rely on your internal stuff, really rely on yourself as your own nurturer, your own giver, and rely on also the intuition because of the star, of course, and the high priestess. They are very much gut-based intuition cards, and they have gotten there through hard ass work alone. They have not been handed anything. They have actively done the work in order to gain the knowledge, in order to be in these power positions that they find themselves in. The star is all about artistic inspiration, intuition. Be careful not to waste this handed to you. And if you choose to take this energy and the passion and the art and whatever it is that's being presented to you, if you do choose that, try not to waste that given that accessible energy or passion. Don't waste it to things like large crowds of people partying, casual actions like not giving your all, kind of just like half-assing things, like really high energy endeavors and things like that are just like energy sucks and energy wastes. Be really, 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 really careful of those, because there's going to be pockets here and there that you may possibly potentially fall into if you're not careful. And it's attached to the Hierophant. So the Hierophant is basically like the medieval pope, and the medieval pope back in the day used to have their own army. They were basically the political and the spiritual rulers of their towns. However, this card is all about deception, manipulation, controlling the perspective reality. People with very large ego or control issues, maintaining falsehoods. So I would say this is talking about, do not surrender yourself to an ideal or to something that looks good, because chances are it only looks good. That's where I was saying with it looks fancy and frilly, but really ultimately it's fucking useless. It's not going to do anything for you. And honestly, if you put your faith into it, it's going to lead you astray, because it has its own agenda, and it has nothing to do with compassion or truth. It's very much all about maintaining control and maintaining that kind of that mask. So do not give your free will to anybody else, and do not give your sense of self to an ideal that is not going to jive ultimately with your chosen purpose or your chosen path, if you do choose that one ultimately. And the high priestess is almost literally the opposite of the Hierophant, where the Hierophant is very much the false and the high priestess is very much the truth. High priestess is the self comes first, very selfish, unbelievably selfish card, but it's a good thing because it's all about that self-care. And this bitch worked fucking hard. You're not taking it away from her. You're not. It's not happening. So that's the kind of boundary that you need to set. You worked way too hard to get your way too hard on the work that you've done to just abandon it all and just to walk away from it. It's not something that's going to bring you joy whatsoever if you walk away from your work in order to step down basically a rank and follow the Hierophant. It makes no sense. if this is your card and this is the opposer card, then you worked way too fucking hard to get here, to step down a rank and become one of these people who are looking up to this person, because this person's authority and this person's wisdom and knowledge was ill-gotten anyway. The crown that he wears is a false crown. So this is the person that you want to emulate. This is the person you do not want to follow. And I mean, really, you're technically already there. I mean, like I said, you've done the work. You have your skills. You're just kind of sitting there in the temperance spot, going, "Well, what should I do next?" And really, there is an opportunity that is going to be presented. However, you need to choose that. Yeah, that's the reading. So I will take the servants and put temperance, the star, the superstar. Something smells interesting in this house, and I can't place the smell whatsoever. 1, 2. These are done really quickly today. 3, you're done. Aerophant. The thinker. Star is the saint. Interesting. I need to study my servants. They're starting to communicate more, but because I don't understand them, I'm not getting the messages a little bit as good as I should be doing. And temperance is the father. So you have the father, the saint, the thinker, and the healer. I will take your photo and send it to you just after this is completed. But okay, the father under temperance and the homecoming is reinforcing the idea that you need to take care of yourself. You need to be the adult in this situation and kind of really relax, give yourself the safe space needed in order to recharge. And you need to kind of be firm in your boundaries. You kind of have to ground yourself a little bit and take time to really fucking experience it. Don't let it pass you by. Don't drive through this feeling. You need to really, really, really feel it inside and really sit with it and really recharge. Like really recharge. Maybe hermit out a little bit. Ace of Pentacles, the star, and the saint. This is where I'm confused because I don't really know too much about the saint servant. The only thing I can imagine is obviously saint is spiritual, star is spiritual. So again, with the intuition, really focusing on kind of generously helping yourself and kind of taking the aspects of, well, I mean, the high priestess and the saint together. I mean, that makes sense. So and they also both have big old circles on their heads. That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, just follow your intuition and kind of really take stock of what it is, what you want to do, where you want to go, and kind of follow your intuition on that. Follow your guts, because of course they won't steer you wrong, because you know what you need, and you know generally where you want to go on this path, with this path rather. The thinker underneath the Aerophant is interesting, and the healer under the high priestess, which is really funny because the healer and the high priestess are both wearing blue robes and wearing white hats. So that's very, very, very interesting. So I would just say, oh, and the thinker and the healer both have buildings in behind them. One is red and one is blue. The thinker's sky is very clear, and the healer's sky is kind of foggy. In relation to this corner, these four cards together, the Hierophant, the Thinker, the High Priestess, the Healer, I would say that it's pretty much all about outsmart. It's not really outsmarting whoever it is that's being a twig in your spokes, as it is. However, potentially they may be overthinking things, because if you think about people who manipulate or try to control situations, they're probably constantly always scheming and thinking, right? So it's probably in regards to that. And I would say the healer under the High Priestess, in regards to the Thinker and the Hierophant, would probably just mean, as long as you're focused on yourself and you have that kind of warm contentedness kind of feel, like the resting, sitting kind of contentment. I don't know if you understand that so much, but that kind of the mama kind of sitting there kind of feeling, if that makes any sense. That holding that feeling in the temperance zone, as it were, and really emulating and embodying that kind of feeling, I think probably will negate whatever it is that's trying to attack the calmness, simply based on the nature of its nature alone. The nature of its nature. So yeah, if that makes any sense. Hopefully this reading helped. And if you have any follow-up questions, or you have anything else that you want to talk to me about, you just you let me know through the correct channels. And I'll see you around, and thank you so much. I appreciate you a lot.